Hey, Facebook, time to get into the Word. Today, we're going to be talking about if you're stuck, or if you've ever been stuck, or if you feel stuck right now, how to get unstuck. And as always, I'll be consulting my favorite book, the Bible. You probably know that already, right? So, I'll be talking about some things that are going on in the Bible where I happen to be reading right now that really spoke to me. I know we've all at some point felt stuck. Maybe you feel stuck right now. Hey, Mackenzie. Maybe you feel stuck right now and you're in a season like me of waiting. You're in a season where you need some change. You're in a season where the Lord is cultivating patience, which is always really fun to go through because you get lots of opportunities to be patient. So I'm Melodye Reynolds. I call myself an intentional living coach because I share with you how to make your life, your faith, and your health simple, because we as humans overcomplicate things. So I share with you strategies and truths and methods and ways to get back to simple living. Why? So that you can focus on what really matters in your life and not on what doesn't. Because when you think about it, we spend a lot of time focusing on things that we go, why did I worry so much about that? Why was that such a big deal at the time? I really wasted my time on that. I want to help you not to say things like that. Hey, Regina, how are you? Good to see you. So, we're going to get into that today. If you haven't already connected with my page, make sure you hit the like button, and there's notifications here somewhere where you can see when I go live. So make sure to hit that as well. And you can also, if you would, please share this out. It's going to be some really good content. I believe in flooding Facebook with good things and not all this negative stuff that seems to go around quite a bit. I'm on a mission to make Facebook a happy place, a place you actually want to get on and not avoid, okay? A light. Facebook can be a light in a dark place. So if you would please help me to do that and share this, because I think we've all been stuck before. I've been stuck a lot of times. I come out of it and then I go right back into feeling stuck again, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, right? So, all right, let me make sure I've got everything. Yes, I want to make sure I said all those things before I started, because I get excited when we're talking about the Bible. Sometimes I forget to tell you what I'm doing, and I'm like, let me just read this to you. Also, you can tap the hearts and let me know that you're here. That just helps me to know that you're like, hey, what's up? I'm here. I'm hanging with you. And it makes me feel good, quite frankly. It just makes me feel good. No other reason. I'm just being real. Okay, so I have been, and I've done several lessons on Moses, because if you didn't know, besides Jesus, Moses is my jam, okay? I get down on some Moses. Love to talk about Moses, love to learn about Moses, love to hear and read teachings on Moses, because Moses was amazing. And he's just a huge role model for us in terms of being faithful, being broken and being used by God, messing up sometimes, getting it wrong sometimes, but still pulling through and making things happen, and really walking very closely and trusting in the Lord. And he's a good example of faith, just strong faith and belief. And so what we're going to talk about today, I don't have a specific verse, because as you can see, look at all this. I decided a few months ago to start in Genesis and read chronologically through the Bible. I've never read book by book by book through the Bible. I've read books at a time, or I skip around to different books, and I've done topical studies, but I feel like I need to read it chronologically in order to take it all in. So that's what I started doing, and I've learned a lot, and the Lord's been giving me a lot of words, and I come here and I share them. So today, let's see, what book am I in right now? So I started in Genesis, and I am in Numbers, okay? So I'm like halfway through the book of Numbers. No, actually, I'm almost done with the book of Numbers, okay? So, hey Priscilla, yay! I'm glad you're going to spend lunch with us. So, as I've been reading, something has really popped out at me. And if you've never read the story, and it starts, I think, into Genesis, maybe, and certainly into Exodus, of Moses leading the Israelites out of the promised land, or out of slavery into the promised land. And there's a lot that goes on. So the Israelites, which were Moses's people, were slaves in Egypt. Okay, let me just give you a little rundown. And God has called them out. He delivers them from the Egyptians. He parts the Red Sea. Most everybody knows that story. He brings them through. All of these miracles happen. And what should have been an 11-day journey takes 40 years for these people. And that's where we're going to talk about the getting stuck part. So Moses does, the Lord uses Moses to work all these miracles, and the people see them. Like, these aren't miracles that you just hear about. They see the sea parted. They see all the things that God does to make sure that they get brought out of Egypt. Oh, that's okay. Good for you. I'm happy to see you here. So, they've seen these things with their eyes, and they know that they're going toward a place that's going to be better. And here's what happens in the middle. Okay? This is where we get stuck between where we are and where we want to go. They start to complain. Endlessly complain. They complain about, so they have no food in the desert, so the Lord literally rains down bread from heaven. They complain because they want meat. They complain because there's not enough water. The Lord gives them water. They complain, they complain, they complain. Everything they can possibly complain about, they find a way to speak it out. They complain about Moses. They complain about, it's like there was no gratefulness. They had what's called wilderness mentality. And I don't know if you've ever heard that term before, but it's when you know how it is when God gives you a promise, or He gives you a vision, or He shows you something He wants to do for your life, but you got to grow to get there, right? Some of us grow slower because we're hard-headed, and we grow even slower when we complain. And the Lord has really been working on me, because we complain and we don't even know we're complaining. Like, it gets to the point where we just open our mouths and say what we think and feel all the time, and we don't understand that that's complaining. And the Lord even says in the Word that complaining is evil to Him. I've read this story before, but the thing you'll learn about the Bible is every time you read it, something new will pop up at you. Something new, usually something you really need to work on, you really need to hear, you really need to think about, or you need to, make sure you're concentrating on so that you grow. It will pop out at you and you'll go, I never noticed that before. Because it wasn't important at the time that you first read it. That's why I'm constantly rereading my Bible. You can't just read it once and go, well, I read the Bible. I got this whole faith thing down. God is good. Doesn't really work like that. The Bible is living and breathing. The Word is living and breathing. And so it will minister to you. It will heal you. And it will guide you and direct you and prune you and, make you grow in ways, and it'll strengthen your faith, because the Lord speaks through His Word. It's one of the ways that He speaks to us. And so it really popped out at me. They even got to the point where they complained about turning back. And I talked about this a little bit. But how many times do we second guess our decision and we want to go back to what we knew before, because the enemy makes us feel like, well, that was better. And the the Israelites keep saying, well, we should have just stayed in Egypt. We were slaves. At least we had meat and water and shelter, Moses. And they're all the time, why'd you bring us out here to die, Moses? Like, I've read, like I said, almost completely through Numbers, and they're so whiny. Like, these are the whiniest people I've ever seen in my life. And here's what's amazing. Most of the Israelites that come out of Egypt, hey Sherry, do not make it to the promised land. Anybody 20 or older, there were only 2 people of all those over 1 million people that actually set their feet into the promised land. And that was Joshua and Caleb. Moses himself doesn't make it. And I won't even get into that because that's a whole different broadcast that I'm going to do on here and talk with you guys about. Huge lesson in why Moses didn't get to go to the promised land. But he does get to see it. But only 2 that were 20 and older, which was Joshua and Caleb, make it into the promised land. Why? Because Joshua and Caleb didn't complain. And they didn't get scared of the obstacles that they faced. They had faith, right? And so they didn't get that wilderness mentality. But all the other Israelites died, either from old age, or the Lord did things like give them plagues and different things because their mouths, their words, their constant complaining, their lack of gratitude. And then there's a couple of times they worship different gods. They have seen miracles. Like, they walked through the middle of the sea, y'all. Can you imagine? Like, here's all these this big 2 walls of water. You got like whales going by and fish, hi, how you doing? And they were able to walk through that and be safe, get to the other side. And then the walls close up and their foes, the Egyptians, poof, they're gone. They're destroyed. So they saw this with their own eyes, but then they forgot. And how many times does God do something for us and we're so fired up and we're so excited about, ooh, God did that. Ooh, won't he do it? Won't he do it? Got so good. And then the next week we're like, I really hate my job. These kids are getting on my nerves. I don't want to clean this house. We start complaining. And sometimes we complain about the thing we got, that we prayed for, that we asked for, that was a miracle. Oh, I got this new car. I'm so sick of making payments on it. You know what I mean? So, that's right. We have to pay attention to our words because our words keep us stuck. They keep us from seeing breakthrough. They keep us from growing as fast. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to go around in the wilderness around the mountain. I want to go up the mountain. And one of the things I have to really pay attention to is how I phrase things. So, little things come out of our mouths that are complaints and we don't realize. It's not like we intentionally complain. We're used to just saying what pops into our head. And listen, while you're on your journey to control the tongue, because it is the hardest to submit to God. Your tongue is the hardest thing to submit. Think about that for a minute. It's the hardest thing to submit. And so that's where our struggle is. And if we would learn to speak life, we will get there so much faster. I don't want to be in a wilderness for 40 years. I'm 40. That's the age Moses was when he started this journey to get the Israelites to the promised land. I don't want to be 80 before I get to the promised land. Before I see my vision come to pass. Before I see what God has spoken to me and over me come to pass. So I'm going to learn from these Israelites because they did something wrong. Right? They had some flaws. They had some things that they really had to work on. And I realized we do it all the time. Not intentionally. I'm sure the Israelites weren't like, well, I'm just going to complain and then we'll just hang out here and die. And if we truly knew the power of our words, sometimes I think we would just shut up. Because if you can't say something that's going to bring life to what you want, shut up. I've learned that I've got to shut up sometimes. If I can't say anything nice, shut up. I've got to shut up. Because whatever you're speaking to, if you're speaking negative, you're going to breathe life into negative. If you're speaking positive, then you'll breathe life into positive. And when you really let that sink in, and the Bible clearly says that that's why they didn't all make it to the promised land. Which is really scary. We can talk ourselves right out of a blessing. That's right. The power and life and death are in the tongue. Absolutely. So think about this. Complaining stalls progress. Complaining gets you stuck. So what do we do instead? Gratitude. Gratitude. Being thankful. So when you're in a wilderness time, a stuck time, what can you say that you're thankful for? Because there's always something to be thankful for. If you're frustrated with something, find something to say, but you know what, Lord, I'm thankful for. Now, let's be very real here for just a minute. I don't mean that you can't ever tell your really good friend that you're having a crappy day. Like, we have crappy days, and we need somebody, a spouse, a good friend, somebody that we can release it, vent it, maybe even work it out, right? It's like therapy. That's okay. That's different than talking about it, and focusing on it, and going on and on. Like, if you feel really bad, like sometimes I wake up and I have a lot of muscle pain and joint pain, and I just don't feel great. And I would say, I just feel so bad. I feel so bad. I'm tired. I hurt. I feel bad. I feel awful. I just feel like crap. Like, I would just go on, and I still catch myself doing that sometimes. And I have to go, but you know what? I'm thankful because I'm going to feel better very soon. I got healing coming on the way. And I'll say, I'm thankful that I woke up today. I'm thankful that I get to work from home. I'm thankful that I don't have anywhere to go today and I can rest and heal my body. I'm thankful for a husband who goes to work every day to take care of me. So if you can take your complaining and really be conscious about it and change your words to gratitude. And I'm not saying this is always easy, and you're not always going to feel like doing it. Every day's not sunshine and rainbows. It's not tiptoeing through the tulips, okay? But if you can find gratitude in the hard places, you're going to get to where you want to go so much faster, because that's partnering with what God says. That's being thankful. And I always think about it this way. If you have a child and you give your child something, whatever it is, it could be anything. A toy, a game, whatever. And let's say the child sits and all they do is complain about it. This is dumb. This isn't fun. Blah, blah, blah. I thought it would be more like this. I don't really like this. What are you going to do? You're going to go give them more stuff? So how do you think the Lord feels? He is our Father. Why is He going to bless us with stuff when we're complaining with what He's already given us? And when I realized that, becoming a parent helped me to realize my child is always grateful. She will thank me for everything. And that is one thing I'll say I've cultivated in our home. I make sure to tell my husband the things I'm thankful for. I tell my daughter the things I'm thankful for. She does that with us. Because I've seen the opposite of that. And it's annoying. Like, I get annoyed when kids are ungrateful for things and they don't take care of their stuff. They don't show appreciation. So why would the Lord feel any different about us? We're His kids. And if we go around and complain about everything He's given us. So, I just wanted to give you a word. When you're in a time of testing, when you're in a trial, when you're growing, when it gets hard, when things get real, when you feel like you don't have anything really great to say, be quiet, and then when you can gather yourself to do it, say out loud what you're grateful for. And if you accidentally go back and complain, like you fall kind of back into that pattern, I always tell you about this. Use the cancel method. Whatever the complaint is, I don't know, whatever it may be, and then you just say, cancel, I'm really thankful for. And it's like you cancel that out, and you're going to speak life into what you want to see. So, I hope this was helpful for you. I get really excited. I don't get sad when God shows me something to work on. I don't feel bad about myself. I don't feel shame or guilt. That is not what God is about. When He convicts you of something, He shows you an area like, work on this. My sweet child, work on this. The enemy is the one who makes you feel shameful or guilty or, like you're not enough. Like that's not going to help if you work on it. So I like for the Lord to show me what I need to work on, because I know it's going to help me to be a better person in the end, to be who He's created me to be. He can't work through me if I'm not partnering with Him. And so like any good parent, you correct your children not because you want to punish them or be mean or be mad. You want them to learn. You want them to grow and flourish and be better even than you. And so you show them better ways to do things, and you give them advice, and sometimes you give them tough love. It's the same thing. So that's why I always encourage people to read their Bibles, because the Lord can do it through His Word. If you have not done my 5-day Bible study e-course, I don't know why you haven't. You need to go to my website, which I will put the link in the comments, but it's Melodye Reynolds, Melodye. I have a lot of people that leave that E off the end of my name. MelodyeReynolds.com. There is a How to Read Your Bible 5-day free e-course where I show you how to get into the Word and understand it, and not get overwhelmed and not feel like you don't understand anything that it says, or you get bored, or you don't really know how it applies to you. I give you all my tips and tricks and knowledge in 5 emails. So go get that. Take 15 minutes a day. I think one of them might be 20 minutes. Watch it and start applying it. It will be very helpful to you. Everybody that's taken it has told me it's very, very helpful to them. It's completely free. It's just something I wanted to do because that's part of my calling. I teach people how to read their Bible, and I encourage you to get into it. I pray that you have I've got allergies going on, I'm so sorry. I pray that you have a great rest of the day. Thank you for honoring me with your time and hopping on here. Thank you for the comments. Let me see what you guys said up here for just a minute. I try to stay on task, and I always go back and read every comment. Yes, power of life and death are in the tongue. Yeah, you always have something to be thankful for. You have to choose where to put your focus. That's a good point. Yes, part of our spiritual, and we are in, I heard something yesterday that was so good. It said there's spiritual warfare going on. Whether you choose to engage in it or not, it's still going on around you. So you may as well put your armor on and fight the good fight. Because either you're going to be on the sidelines and it's going to happen around you and to you anyway, or you get prepared, you put your armor on, you pick up your weapons, and you become part of the fight. But it doesn't mean it's not going on if you choose not to participate. I don't know about you, but I want to be on God's side with all that. Right. Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy that you hopped on, Sherry. And Gina. And Amanda. Hey, Amanda, I didn't see you come in. All right, guys, I pray that this blesses you, and I will be back with something else whenever I get a word. Talk to you later. Bye, y'all.